Hello, whittlers, carvers, and craftspeople. Thanks for joining me here again at the Joy of Carving. In today's video, I want to show you how you can make these birch bark pots. Try saying that 3 times fast. These are really simple and straightforward to make. They look more complex than they actually are, but they're very straightforward and simple, so anyone can make these. Birch bark is a really fantastic material to work with because it's so flexible and easy to cut as well. I have a few of these scattered around my home of various different sizes, and they make such a good naturalistic display piece while actually still being useful for storage. So it's just a really nice natural way to store various bits and bobs and trinkets in your home. The piece of bark that I'm starting off with is about 5 centimeters wide by 20 centimeters in length, and it has this really nice natural knot in it as well, which will make it a little bit more challenging to bend later on, but it really adds to that natural aesthetic, which I love. We'll start just by penciling in a line about 3 centimeters from the end on either side of the bark. Now we need to score that line in, score that pencil line in. So we're being very careful because we don't want to cut all the way through the bark here. So I'm being very gentle, and you can use the edge of your craft knife, the edge of your whittling knife, you can use the edge of some scissors just to very carefully score that line in. And then I'm using the edge of my whittling tool to just start to wear away some of that bark, and it actually peels away very easily. If you've got some sandpaper, you can just sand the edge, but you can see there, once you get started, it peels away like an onion. There's quite a lot of layers. So you can literally, just as I am there, roll your thumb against it to just thin it down to about half of its original thickness. Once you're happy with the thickness, we're going to draw an arrow on one side, and on the opposite side, we're going to draw a line about 1 centimeter from the edge, and that will form the slot that the arrow is going to fit into. Just to quickly demonstrate with a piece of paper, this is basically what we're trying to create. An arrow on one side, a slot in the other, that the arrow will then feed into to form the shape of our pot. When we've finished marking out the lines, we're going to cut out the arrow shape, and you can see there on the other side that I've created a small gap for the actual arrow to fit into. Now we need to start forming that bark into a circular shape into the pot. And the key to this is just be really cautious. Listen to the bark, because you will hear it break if you're pushing it too fast, too quickly. So just really listen to it. Just keep bending it, keep working it into that circular shape. If you need to thin out the bark some more, you can. But just take your time and slowly keep forming it into the shape until you're happy with it. And once it's at that point where it's flexible enough, just feed the arrow into the slot. And if you need to adjust the size of the arrows, if you need to cut off some more of the corners, you can, just so it fits into the slot nicely. Once the arrow is threaded through, this is how it will look. So you can see there it holds really well. What I did with mine later on, after I'd finished all the carving, was I glued it just to give it that extra bit of strength and hold, but you don't have to do that. You can leave it just as it is. So to create the base and the lid, I have some reclaimed pine wood here. It's just a nice thin offcut of pine. You can use any kind of wood that you want. So quite simply, give your pot a little squeeze just so it's a bit more of that circular shape. Place that on top of the wood, and then just pencil on the inside the rough circular shape, just so that you know the rough circumference of the base. And then I've also used a compass to just mark a more accurate circle. You don't have to do that, but to just give me a more accurate circle, I've used that. What I've also done is the kit for this that's available on my website. I've created a version where the discs are already cut. And I've done this because I've had quite a few people contacting me and say they'd love to carve or they'd love to make something, but they either can't because they're arthritic, or they just don't have the confidence to carve, or don't have the tools. So I've created this version where the discs are already pre-cut, and all you need to do is sand the edges down, keep testing those against the size of the pot, keep sanding them until they fit in place. So for the carving version, once you've marked out your circle, the fastest way to remove a lot of this wood would be to simply saw the corners away. So if you do have access to a saw, and you can do that, that's what I recommend. But if not, then we're simply just going to whittle away each of the corners, carving away from ourselves, pushing our thumb against the back of the blade. I just wanted to take a quick second to explain how to actually carve in the round. So if you're an adept carver, you're already going to know this, but if you're a novice, the direction in which we carve is really important. So we have our circle there, and we now need to identify which direction the wood grain is flowing in. So you can see it's going up and down there where I've arrowed. If you carved all in one direction, you're going to split the wood. You're going to split it and tear it. So the easiest way to do it is to divide that circle into quarters, and you can see there where I'm arrowing, that's the direction in which we're going to carve. And that ensures that we're always going to be carving with the grain and not against it. You'll know when you're carving against the grain because the wood won't carve. It will just tear and split and pull away rather than actually slicing. So it's really important to be quite conscientious on how the direction actually dictates how we carve. And from there, it's really a case of just keep whittling away at that circle until it fits the actual pot. So small pieces until you can actually fit it inside the base of the pot. And you do want it fairly tight because you want to stretch that bark out just a little bit, because over time it will help it to form more of that circular shape. And the process is going to be exactly the same for the lid as well. For the handle on the lid, I have this small offcut of pine, and I'm literally just rounding the edges. I'm keeping the form and shape really, really simple. If you don't want to carve it, you can, of course, just sand the edges down instead. When you're happy with the final shape, you can glue the handle to the lid, and that's the finished pot. How easy was that? That's what I love about these pots, is they're so simple and straightforward. I really think that anyone can make these, so they're really approachable to every skill level. And they make really fantastic gifts as well. I've given many, many of these away as gifts to just store little trinkets and jewelry in as well. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was a simple one today, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching, for liking and subscribing. Your support means so much to me. So thank you for joining me here at The Joy of Carving again, and happy carvings, everyone.